Right, hello. I've had to put slow mode on because as this is a public stream, unfortunately, these tend to get spammed to shit if I don't put slow mode on. So slow mode is on, but we sort of have some good news in the UK today, and that's that there's actually kind of a timetable thing with the lockdown when it should all be over eventually kind of thing. You know, where like dates where certain things will be reviewed, and then if like certain things with, the spread are still too high at that point, it will be delayed further. But I've put the link in the description, but I also put it in the chat. So yeah, there's a BBC thing on it, but basically there's a timeline type thing now with it. So I think the first thing is schools go back, isn't it? And then it's a case of seeing after 5 weeks of the schools going back what the infection rate is like. Assuming it's not gone up properly, because bear in mind there'll be vaccinations going on all during this period as well. All right, Brighto, Justin Vapor, and Richard. But hello to everybody. So the timeline seems to be, because I was listening to the thing before I came on when they did the press thing, and I listened live when they were doing the House of Commons thing earlier, is that basically every 4 weeks, and they'll have a week to review it. So the first one is the schools go back soon, like all the children go back, not just key workers, and then they see, like, is the infection R rate picking up massively? Because it will definitely go up when you put kids into school, but I guess the thing is it at a containable level? And then it will be, more activities after that, essentially like every month. And then it will be sort of May, June time before everything's lifted, assuming everything goes to plan. All right, Lord Flashout. Yeah, you're early on this one, OK9, same as everybody else. But I hope everybody else is all right anyway. All right, your mother? Is CNC lessons the 3D printing stuff, or is it something completely different? When people say CNC, they make me think Command and Conquer. But yeah, is that the 3D printing stuff? And I can't remember if I said your mother, because Hype had a really good idea. With that crossbow you sort of gifted me, where you gave me a load of money towards it, so thanks again for that. What I'm going to do is mount the infrared laser sight that Hype sent me to it, so I can shoot it with night vision on, because I thought that'd be quite funny for a video at some point, wearing night vision goggles while shooting that little crossbow. Digital metal cutter, is it, Brighto? Yeah, I assumed it was some sort of education type thing you're doing, or like training type thing. But yeah, so basically, like how these are like infrared torches, like the infrared actual lasers, so that mounted underneath the crossbow. And then when you've got night vision on, you can aim it using the infrared laser sight, but people can't see that laser with their natural eye. But yeah, so I don't know what other countries are doing at the moment in regards to corona stuff, but at least over here we've actually had a thing now, in regards to what's coming on certain dates. I can't tell you too much about it, Hyra, just because I didn't buy it, but basically it's a Chinese Nixie tube clock. You might be able to see there that it's not even got like a proper front plate on it. What Hype gave it me as a gift, but basically what it is it runs just on USB, so you only run it on a little 5-volt lead. And basically, it's a 24-hour clock. It's got a few other functions on it, but I think this uses Soviet Nixie tubes in it, like, where there's still loads of Soviet cold cathode tubes left around. So basically it has 4 Nixie tubes in there, 4 which I believe are Soviet's cold cathode tubes. And then basically, obviously it's just got the digital controller on it for the time on it. I'm glad you like the Redback, your mother. It's really good, isn't it, the Redback? The only thing with the Redback is I'd like it with a longer stock, but I think there's somebody who 3D prints bigger stocks for them now. But yeah, be careful, don't get ripped off, because Hype said that in China you can buy these at a pretty decent price, but what you'll see is on eBay, lots of people buy these, I guess, in bulk, cheap from China. Then they put a custom faceplate on it, and they charge like 200 quid for them. I think I've seen these as low as about $40 to $50 on AliExpress. Sometimes you have to buy the Nixie tubes separately, but I imagine that'd be $20 at most for 4 Nixie tubes to put in there. But yeah, the point is that, I've seen literally these with custom housing around them, but the same little controller unit and power supply, and people want like hundreds of pounds for them. The Nixie tubes are nice, aren't they? What you can't really see of the stream on, but is if you turn the lights off, you can always read that in the dark. And yeah, cold cathodes are interesting as well, just because it's, a vacuum tube, but you displaying a number on a filament, essentially. But it's not a heated filament, is it, if it's a cold cathode? I think it's just literally, the voltage type thing at the bottom. Hopefully, Justin will end up having a good enough vaccine, because they have got a pretty damn good vaccine at the moment, that it might not be that way. But yeah, what we don't want is it mutating enough each year that, it becomes vaccine resistant. Then you have to keep, doing it every year. Yeah, that's the thing about it. I prefer them as carbines, but yeah, the only thing I don't like with the redback, I know this isn't related to the thing, but going to it, it's the redback, because it's got the stronger prod, where it's got a better draw weight, better sort of, more power behind it. I find it's quite awkward with a little bit at the front of the redback to cock it using a lever. I would always just pull it against my chest like that to cock it, because I found I couldn't get enough leverage on it. But that's personal preference, but I know some people get on with it fine. But one of my redbacks, what I've done with it is put the old pistol crossbow style prods in it. So I've got a lower draw weight prod, but in the redback system, so you can cock it really quickly like that, but it's still about 40 to 50 pound draw weight. I'm assuming so, OK9, because yeah, it's basically a vacuum tube with obviously some sort of noble gas in there, I'd assume. Yeah, I've played Half-Life, Half-Life 2. I haven't played Half-Life Alyx, that's I've not played. Yeah, so did I have to spare Nixie tube on here? Yeah, right. Here's this isn't a Nixie tube, but this is another cold cathode. So basically, you've just got a tube like that in there, and what happens is there's a noble gas in there. You run these at fairly high voltage, so it obviously steps up the voltage. I don't know what little Nixie tubes run at, but obviously some tubes like this are about 1 kilovolt plus. I know I've got to collect. Well, it's payday in a couple of days, so I might just buy a new set off Amazon, I think. The only one I saw, Brightor, was you saying about the metal cutting stuff. But yeah, essentially the gas is heated, and then, it's a cold cathode, it's not technically heated, but yeah, electrical current passes through the gas at enough of a voltage, I think, that the gas starts ionizing, yeah. Because if you heat these tubes up too much, like run the voltage too high, they start shooting out X-rays and they burn up. But they glow a lovely blue color. There's a video I did recently where I was putting some vacuum tubes through high voltage to produce X-rays. Yeah, it's really annoying, Lord Flashheart, isn't it, at the moment? Like, in terms of that and all the other power prods, because I liked getting the low draw weight prods. Like, this is, again, completely not related to Corona. But this is the one where I've got that little, replaced it with the 40-pound prod on this one. See, so it's super easy to pull this one back. You can just literally do that, and cock it like that. And 40-pound prod on this is still accurate to about 10, 15 yards with a decent enough power. But I always wanted to get one of the full-size 80-pound prods like this, but in 80 pounds, but nowhere had them in stock. And at one point, Merlin Archery said they had it in stock. And then, of course, when I ordered it, they sent me a pistol prod and then they had to refund me. Yeah, I'll definitely get some, Claire, but it's just going to be the typical sod's law thing. As soon as I buy a new pair of clippers, my old ones are going to turn up. Because it's got other shaving equipment in the same bag stored with it, and I can't find any of it. Yeah, crossbows aren't related to Corona, but yeah, it was just because somebody was bringing it up. But yeah, so that's that. But yeah, that's the annoying thing with prods at the moment, and lots of other accessories. Can't find the bits. Yeah, it should be your mother. I think he said on his YouTube thing that he's had bad headaches the last weekend or so. That's why he didn't stream this weekend on Friday and Saturday. But I think he's on Twitch tonight, trying to play the last of that interactive movie game thing. All right, Rich? All right, cheers, Clep. Yeah, because I did have some plug-in wall clippers at one point, and although wall clippers are normally quite a good brand, these ones went wrong really quickly. Yeah, cheers. It's a merch shirt, Radiac Maniac, so you can buy it if you like. But yeah, it's the old Mark II Radiac in the back there. It's going off scale, not because of radiation, but because of the fact I can't power it properly. Okay, now I have to go to the full thing of infrared goggles on, like night vision goggles with an infrared laser sight. It's Rontgen, Ethan Sav, but yes. You've literally got the spelling there, although you'd put R-O-E-N in anglicised English spelling rather than German. No, I don't think I've played Predator Hunting Grounds. Is that like Alien versus Predator type thing. Did I show you my X-ray tube, Radiac Maniac, while you're on? I can't power it, just simply because the fact it's not because I can't heat the filament in it. It's just because it's a 110 kilovolt tube, and my power supply only goes up to 30 kV. So what I've done now is I've ordered a much smaller, like rectifier tube that will act like an X-ray tube. Yeah, the American thing, Radiac Maniac's Röntgen. Oh, it's my Röntgenometer. So yeah, that's the massive X-ray tube. Again, not related to Corona, but that's the massive X-ray tube I bought, which is really fucking cool. Don't get me wrong, if you like old vacuum tubes and things. But yeah, that's this is a Soviet. Is it KPM 120 or KRM 110? 110 they're called. It says KPM 110, but I think it's KRM 110, isn't it, when you do it to in English? But there's the name on it. So it's a Svetlana tube, this one. Over here, your mother, you'd have to shoot them with an air rifle, because you're not legally allowed to hunt with things. I don't know if there's a date on it, but I think these were pretty much like 1970s ones. Yeah, but I've only got the 30 kV one, Radiac Maniac. So what I've ordered is another one like this, because these run fine off my power supply, like the smaller rectifier style ones. But yeah, this one, like, yeah, my power supply would burn out because it's just drawing so much power through this that, you know, it can't actually. All right, thank you, Claire. Let me look that one up. Yeah, it's blocking all your messages and get brighter by the sound of it. And I don't know why. And yet there was somebody else on here that asked me about had they been shadow banned and all that. And I specifically checked the block list for them after the stream, and their name's not on there. It just doesn't let them post on my channel anymore. If you go on eBay, if you're on about the X-ray tubes, David, if you literally go on eBay, you can buy brand new, fully working X-ray equipment, old hospital X-ray equipment that's being scrapped, or just loads and loads of old valves and vacuum tubes and things like this. Again, check the laws in your country. In the UK, as far as I'm aware, it's perfectly legal to buy stuff like this. Just be very careful what you do with them. But Soviet hair clippers would be a manual one, Hyra. But yeah, these sort of things, there's some quite good websites where people have like massive collections of old like vacuum tubes, and there's quite big sections on X-ray tubes. But yeah. All right, cheers, Claire. Let me look it up now so I actually remember to keep it open in a tab. So Amazon hair clippers for men, cordless blade, hair trimmer, beard trimmer, haircut, and grooming kit. Right, I'll put that whole thing into Amazon and see if I can find it. Oh yeah, I found them. So if you reckon that's good, I'll probably just go for that then. Yeah, let me if I order it within an hour and 39 minutes, I'll get it tomorrow. So I might order it in a minute, actually. Is it a decent size head on it? I assume it is, but obviously on... Ah, yeah, there's a picture of it actually being used. Yes, that is a fine size head, yeah. Right, yeah, I'll get that one then. Right. I suppose the good thing is if it's a sort of more universal USB style charger, if you lose a charger, you've probably got something similar. The link doesn't work, Radiac Maniac, as usual for me, because I'm on... It links you differently if you're like an admin. Is that Radium Quartzal's one, though? But yeah, like I said, he's using a different tube to me, I believe, and a different power supply. Night vision goggles, again, eBay mostly. There are places where you can buy brand new night vision, but they're not like actual army surplus style ones there. I'd rather go back on the topic of Corona now, because it's completely turning into a shit show in the comments, as I imagined. But yeah, so the point was anyway that it seems like over the next month they're going to see if by putting all the kids back in school, if they can still keep the R rate at a decent enough number. If that bit doesn't work, then obviously everything else gets delayed. But it seems like what they're planning on doing is basically every 4 to 5 weeks having, another sort of lot of restrictions ease off. Yeah, I was saying, Joshua, I was listening to one in the House of Commons earlier, and then I was listening to one before I started the stream. Oh, you're on about the X-ray tube thing? I don't actually have any use for it really, other than I find stuff like this really interesting. But yeah, the problem is you can't power these on conventional power supplies. My 30 kilovolt one, doesn't. But as I said, Radiac Minic, I don't think that link's going to work for me. Oh yeah. It's saying I saw that one earlier. He also does one with his hand, doesn't he? Where he puts his hand in front of it. So he's got a Svetlana. Let me look up his tube he's got. If I can actually find the name of the tube. Yeah, that's a very different type of tube to the mine one. Yeah. That's why, Keaton, because he's got a more powerful power supply and he's running it. And that's a tube that I think draws less current. But like I said, I found another sort of Svetlana sort of tube that was a one that I should be able to run. As I said, I'm buying some if you weren't here and after the stream ends. But I bet as soon as I buy them, the old ones will turn up. If you mean Stickman stories, can you wear a gas mask instead of like a surgical mask? Yes, and it gives you better levels of protection. If you mean could you go into shops wearing it and people wouldn't look at you weirdly, maybe not. Yeah, that ought to be good, Justin Vapor. Oh yeah, I've already seen that video. Yeah, your mother. I think it's something to do with like a weird branding issue, wasn't it? I think. All right, Ty. Yeah, it's just one of those really annoying things with the hair clippers where I've been wanting to cut my hair for ages, and they're literally nowhere where they should be stored in the house, and I've not moved them. But I know for fuck's sake it's going to be sod's law. As soon as I've bought a new lot of hair clippers, they're going to turn up. Now, are they expensive at the moment, Tyre? I'm assuming they are by what you're saying. Flazzy, basically, it's assuming it doesn't go to ship before the 21st of June and everything ends in terms of lockdowns. Yeah, that's the thing. I've since it became a bit more serious of Corona, nobody's cared when I've worn a proper gas mask. But earlier on, you did get weird looks from people, but never like shop staff. It was more just fucking weirdos in the shop. Let's see you, your mother. Yeah, Schrumpty Dumpty. There are some pretty cool pilot gear things you can find on eBay. Well, you can find most things on eBay, like we were saying. Yeah, well, bear in mind, Ty, they used to be like 20 to 30 pounds, like the average price of them. But yeah, the issue is like all stuff like that as time goes on. They go up and up more in price. Oh, I reckon that's why this tube stopped working. Yeah, that would be why. It's cracked at the top. Damn it. But yeah, this was a tube that was working until it wasn't, and then I guess it's because it's essentially popped at the top there. See, I don't know if you can see that, but the end caps, it's no longer airtight. It's got a crack in the top there as well. That's what happens when you run high voltage through one of these tubes for too long, unfortunately. At least I know why it doesn't work now. It is because literally the vacuum seal's broken on it. Yeah, I agree, Justin Vane. Well, here's the problem, Ty. Unless massive stockpiles of them turn up again, the price isn't going to go down too much. Because Corona's basically caused almost like a short on lots of masks on the market. But in theory, mask prices will be more reasonable once Corona's over. But you will have more people who actually understand why having a mask is a useful thing. And you're going to run into the problem, of course, of, what's been sold has been sold. Well, I've already gone through this Radiac Maniac, so I'm not going through all of it again on this stream because it's not related to this stream as well, because we're talking about Corona for the most part. But as I've said, it's one where it requires a massively powerful thing heating the filament and powering the HVG, so no, I'm not going to be able to power this one properly, hence why I'm going for a smaller tube. But this is a bloody cool thing to put on display somewhere. And if I ever do get a chunkier power supply, I could see if I could power this on. But I might see, though, at some point, if I can safely take the caps off the end. I mean, obviously not opening the glass, but opening the actual physical caps off and just checking in case there's extra leads that might be, like, tucked in there. Because I know some of them have, like, wire leads on as opposed to, like, the metal prongs. I've got a flyback thing. Pedro, I've got a thing that provides more power than flyback. It's just that tube's way too big. Anyway, like I said, that's not the subject of the stream, really. It's just we keep talking about it. Favourite mask, Avon CT12. Yeah, it might be tired that people who bought loads of them to try and price gouge them are just selling them at a price where they'll sell now. If you're on about what's going on with Corona in the UK, basically they've done a proper timeline now of when things should be easing up. Oh, that's good info, Schlumpy Dumpty, for anybody after one. All right, Peach. Oh, the problem is, Foster Tactical, is that everybody's covered by the restrictions at the moment, so it doesn't matter if you're old, you're still not allowed to do the things you want to do. That's the issue, which is why, everybody just kind of wants it to end, so it will go back to a relatively normal economy again, even if the economy's like down the drain at that stage. But, the fact that you're literally allowed out to do things, and you can go shopping if you want to go shopping, that sort of thing. Yeah, Fred's is a very good movie, Tyre, if you want a realistic look at how bad a nuclear exchange might actually be. Yeah, can't do that anymore. There's a few near me, Inductive Tea Cake, which are open for takeaway coffees, which is really weird. Like, you see people just milling around outside with the paper cups who'd normally be sat in there, chatting, I guess. And you think it seems a bit weird to go out of your way to go get a takeaway coffee, but then not take it anywhere because you're also not going into work. I mean, you don't want to change the filter every 1 minute. That defeats the point. So if you wanted to really protect yourself from Corona, you'd probably just live in like a HVAC, type sort of set up building, wouldn't you? And then just like sanitize everything before it came in on delivery. Outside, the good thing is it's more diluted in like fresh air, so it's less dangerous outside than it is in interior buildings. Yeah, the actual nuclear explosion Tyrant Freds, the one that people see, was they just threw a load of petrol on the fire, and then they filmed, I think, it in front of a miniature. So there's like a miniature street, and then they filmed the, like they threw a load of petrol on fire, which does a mushroom cloud kind of thing, and then it's just superimposed on. Yeah, for me, Flazzy, it's more the mates I generally like seeing I can't see, properly. And it's also the fact that, there's a lot of shit like where you can't do a lot of hobbies as well, if they involve other people and going anywhere. So it ends up just sort of becoming the thing of, oh, my hobby now is just sitting in and drinking, which is obviously really bad. But yeah, like Philip says, part of the problem is variants, because there's always a risk you might get a mutation that becomes vaccine resistant. Alright, don't bring up illegal shit on these streams. I'll get rid of the person asking it, but it always makes me a bit when people are like, oh, do you know how to build this weapon? I've heard stuff about modern PMKs being actually. It wasn't you, not Alex, anyway. But yeah, apparently in more modern PMKs there is a way of fitting them so they take NATO filters, but I think you still need a few parts to do it. That might be true of the superpowers stickman stories, but bear in mind more and more states are getting nuclear power, and when you imagine places like North Korea, where they've got a cult of personality around dear glorious god leader, and you've got potentially Iran developing nuclear weapons at this point, you've got to understand that basically, what's the word for it, that it's not going to be as simple as that, because of the fact that there'll be people who might get access to nuclear weapons who are far less scruples about using them. What's the apocalyptic ones, Dan? I've not been in Sainsbury's and I thought, you're only allowed one sheet of loo roll each. Well, what is certainly true, Watermouth, is that the WHO certainly covered it up to begin with. They were in the CCP's pocket. In the sense of trying to think of a good way of explaining it, but the sort of thing of hello, Sharavi, but like they were first claiming, weren't they? There's very little evidence of human to human transmission, and no, you're not allowed to look in the lab where it could have potentially come from as a leak, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, like I was saying, just a vapor. I think I've been on the stream. We're saying it. The problem is there's not too many places near me where I can justify going out for a walk where it's potentially safe. Oh yeah, and the more nations that have nuke stickman, that's the problem, isn't it? The less well kept they're going to be, because it's not going to be two superpowers pointing nukes at each other. It's going to be everybody and their dog with a nuclear arsenal. Philip, yeah, that's a big problem. Say you don't vaccinate places like Africa and bits of Asia and things like that. There's a chance, yeah, if it keeps spreading in certain places, you'll get like the yearly kind of flu variations, where it just keeps coming around again and again, and eventually you might get one that's much nastier. I mean, I've stopped really listening to the WHO, Claire, just because of the fact that they said so much bollocks about it to begin with, that because, China was giving them so much money, so they didn't want to say anything bad about the CCP. But, like I said, I don't really trust anything they say in that matter of, sort of thing. But, yeah. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by this again. As has already been answered several times, yes, I wear masks in public because of corona. Yeah, that's nice inductive tea cake. If you're somewhere where you can safely go out for a walk and there's no issues, that would be nice. Like I said, the place where I used to go walking a lot now is people basically trading heroin down there, so it's getting like dodgier. If it's expired but the particle filter's still intact, like most filters from the last 30 odd years, yeah, that'll be fine, because you only need a particle filter for corona. A more sophisticated filter will give you a better level of protection, but a P3/P100 filter is good enough. I won't be on for too long tonight, by the way, because Mike's streaming a bit later, and sort of I wanted to just do this one more as what had been in the news, but obviously a lot of people don't want to talk about corona. That's the problem when you do a public one. I know I'm encouraging it because I keep holding up stuff like that, but Well, I think that's part of the problem, Claire, as well. For like when you start getting the people that really start doing the dodgy stuff, they might have been people that would have gone along with a lot of sensible restrictions to begin with. But when you had like the whole Dominic Cummings fiasco and all that, it kind of erodes a lot of people's faith. Weren't they saying damn something like, "Oh, it didn't start over here; it was imported from another country"? Like, yeah, right. Oh yeah, because Dave, imagine if you had something that spread like the common cold or the flu or whatever, well, spread like measles, had the killing power of smallpox. It'd be absolutely horrific. Thankfully, coronavirus isn't anywhere near as dangerous as like what an actual proper bioweapon would be. What in the UK is that, Philip? I can have a look. I know it's not always very accurate on Mondays because they're using weekend figures, but haven't we had like one of the lowest recorded sort of 1 day figures in sort of the last few months or something? Let's have a look. It's worldometers, isn't it? Is the good one for corona stuff. So worldometers, UK today, 10,641 new cases, 178 new deaths. Yeah, so that's a lot better than some of the days when we were having over 1,000 deaths per day. I think the chat's breaking again as well. No, but there was a thing, Dan, if you didn't hear, where they were basically going, "Oh no, it might not have originated in China at all." There's a Dr. John Campbell video where he gets really angry over the stuff like the WHO sort of team was saying. Wow, I'm assuming it's just companies claiming that they're US civil defense. They never were. US civil defense didn't actually have many gas masks. They had a lot of World War II style models. Well, are you on about this, Oscar? The thing that keeps getting brought up? It's an old X-ray tube. It's an old Soviet kilotrons, or whatever they were called, kilotrons. It's a pretty cool thing, but yeah, I've got no hope in how of powering it. But the problem is, then everybody's like, "Oh, have you tried doing this to power it?" And the answer is like, yes. The tube's in good condition. It's not like a broken tube. It's just that you need to get the filament hot, and like you're saying, you need a good high voltage power supply running through it. My power supply, I don't want to leave it on too long when I'm using it because it seems like it's just going to burn out the power supply. Oh, don't use what with a microwave? Inductive tea cake. No, not really. I've got a shortwave radio that I sometimes. It's not got a very good antenna on it though. That's the only problem because the shortwave's quite fun for seeing if you can pick up any really random broadcasts on it. Like I said, AliExpress. I don't even know what the model name of it is. I didn't buy it. I was sent it as a gift. But yeah, I've never been into like ham radio or anything. I sometimes chat with people a lot who are into radios, just because when you talk about old Geiger counters, they're very similar mechanically to old radios. With all the old vacuum tube or valve components in some of the old models. And some of them were like used by the same nations had a very similar setup. Where from the outside they look pretty similar. But yeah, as I said, if you're looking for something like that, just search Nixie Tube on somewhere like AliExpress and see if you can find that or very similar to it. Oh, by the way, any properly anti-science people in the comments are just getting a block because I can't be fucking bothered to argue with people now that believe you get a microchip squirted into you. AliExpress Flazzy is kind of like Chinese eBay, but for kind of commercial goods. Yeah, Photonic Induction now hasn't done any videos in a while, has he? But he's done a couple of videos of old X-ray tubes. But yeah, he's got the massive fucking thing where he just blows stuff up with it, doesn't he? Like the massive capacitor and sort of I'm trying to think, what's his one where he made his own transformer thing made of? Is that just loads of microwave transformers in parallel or what? Yeah, basically AliExpress Flazzy is, say you want to buy stuff that you'd normally find sold over here from China anyway. On AliExpress, you can generally just find it cheapest shipped directly from China. Yeah, Chinese Amazon's better, isn't it? ACM really than Chinese eBay, but yeah, it's basically you can find a lot of crap on there, but you can also find stuff that you can find from retailers over here just way cheaper because you're buying it direct from a Chinese manufacturer or whatever, not from like a company importing them and then marking them up. Oh, not up to date on the Corona stuff or what? The answer to the Corona stuff was basically just that in the UK now, what they're going to be doing is every month basically seeing if they can like remove another level of the restrictions, and then it's going to be sort of if in a month's time they can't lower that type of restriction, they're going to hold that sort of restriction on for a bit longer before easing up the next bit, rather than sort of like what they did before with the first lockdown, where they eased one bit and then 2 weeks later, eased another bit, and regardless of the cases going up, they just kept easing stuff week after week until the point, it went out of control again. Yeah, there's Alibaba as well, isn't there? Alibaba's more if you want to buy it to sell it type of stuff, where you have to buy it in bulk. AliExpress is like slightly more expensive, but you can buy individual items. Yeah, that's interesting, Philip. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that where if you hadn't got the stuff, you wouldn't know about it, would you? Oh, the thing is, if they want to track you, they will just do it using your smartphone. They don't need to put a microchip in you. And yeah, like you said, if they wanted to put a microchip in you, I'm sure there'd be ways of doing it easier than injecting it. Cosmo Nautilus, yeah, it's all right. Like I said, it's just at the moment the sort of lockdown fatigue, but at least we've got a roadmap now, even if we go off road over and over and over again, which I think might be the thing. Here's the problem: everything's been outsourced to China, so good luck buying stuff that's not made not in China. All right, Rajiv. But this is the problem: is if China manufactures nearly all the world's goods, regular people don't have a choice. This is the problem, from politicians outsourcing everything to places like China in the first place to make something cheaper in the short term, where it just screws you over in the long run. But I don't want to get into a political thing on this stream because it's meant to be about Corona. Yeah, that's the problem, Fuzzy, right? So speaking about the old tubes like this, you could buy really good British Mullard tubes. You can still get some old Mullard tubes on Amazon, not Amazon, eBay, that are in working condition. Like obviously, I said this tube's not working anymore because of that bit, but you can still get quite a lot of different Mullard tubes. But it's the fact that we used to make really good stuff like that, and we just don't make it anymore. All sorts of different industries. Same for America, same for lots of countries. So you have the option if you want to get something, your option is buy from China. Some stuff's made in India. Some stuff's made in Taiwan. But the thing is, you'll very rarely find many things that are actually made, either in the US or a European country. Yeah, in the UK, we've already had, I think it's about 25% of people vaccinated now, isn't it? Nazis are fucking cunts, and you're going as well. All right, Mike. But yeah, basically, there's a site where you can actually look at all the vaccines done. But the good thing is they recently found the vaccines are more effective than they thought from just the first initial one. I think there's one vaccine now, isn't there, one of the countries has got it. It might be the US, where you only need one dose and it only needs to be stored at like room temperature. And it's got a 90-something% efficacy rate, which is amazing. Okay, so the vaccines. Israel has done 85% of its population. UAE has done 56% of its population. What is the UK is on here. Oh, yeah, UK's done 26.81%. So yeah, that means we vaccinated like 15 million people over here already. My dad's had his vaccine and my granddad's had his vaccine. I should get mine within about a month, but it depends on what category I fall under with asthma, because I don't have serious asthma. Yeah, Dan, I know. It's all like that second shift stuff, isn't it, as well? What's the population of Poland Britold? Because I'm too lazy to look it up. But what's it in millions, roughly? But yeah, the UK, we've done lots of things very badly regarding Corona, but the good thing was at least the government did put lots and lots of money into both research of vaccines and, initial orders for vaccines. Um, well, Eastin Rothar, I did originally get off at eBay. The issue is that if there's not currently any on there, then I can't help you. So yeah, so about 38 million then in Poland entire. So yeah, if there's 38 million and 203k have been done, well, about 1%. That's still probably better than France, isn't it? Like France and Germany have been really dropping the ball on doing it. Are they even on here? Oh, they're just being done as the European Union in the whole. Yeah, what's our average like vaccines per day at the moment? The problem is this chart doesn't update very well when you're trying to change like the thing, but yeah. But yeah, it's because I need to get some clippers, but thankfully I think it was Claire earlier in the chat has recommended me some clippers, so I'm going to get them in a bit. But yeah, the point, yeah, then that will be when as soon as I pay for those, my old hair clippers are going to turn up because sod's law. But right, I'll see you at 10:30 for definite then. I'm not going to be on this stream too much longer, Mike, because we're mostly just talking about like the roadmap for Corona stuff. But it keeps going off topic. Nixie tube clock. Right. For people who want, before I go off, I'll try and find a link to one of these on AliExpress. Let's see if I can do it, just because, as said, people keep asking about that bloody clock. It's good. It's a good thing in the background, but it does distract people a lot, that clock, which is kind of the problem when you have something interesting in the background. Nixie tube. I mean, a Nixie tube is technically a cold cathode display tube, isn't it, under real things, but right. Some of these I think are ones where you have to do your own. I found the exact one actually. Right. Right. It costs £50. Basically, it's not too bad. Right. Let me get the link for you. It's a slightly different case on this one, but otherwise it's the exact same one. It's still got the old CCCP tubes on it. If you have a look. Right. If you go on that link, it's that exact one, but that's just a different front cover on it. This one's got like a cardboard style front cover on. That other one's got like a see-through plastic one. But yeah, obviously you'd have to select the one that's full price, and I've got the little remote for it somewhere because the remote's what you program it with. But yeah, you can change the LED colors on it as well as the Nixie tubes as well. Because obviously, like the Nixie tubes always have that kind of orange glow to them, but there's like an LED backlight on there as well. I mean, I'm assuming with this that there isn't like just some protective film cover that they've put over the plastic. Because if so, I'm going to feel like a fucking idiot if it turns out there's just something you can peel off. But I know these are like designed to be customizable, so you can put custom faces on them. But trying to think where you'd even get a grip on that to start peeling it off if it does peel off. But maybe I have to do it off a stream at some point. But yeah, it might be that other one's a different case. Because looking at that other one, it doesn't have the side panels, does it? Where this one has side panels, but otherwise it's the exact same design. But yeah, see, they're old Soviet Nixie tubes in there because they say CCCP on them. Because again, there's just a massive Soviet load of Nixie tubes left over. Right, they're definitely pretty inductive tea cake, but yeah, if you're going to pay for one, only pay £50 for them. Don't pay like the hundreds some people pay for Nixie tubes. Because, in all honesty, the best clock in our house, right? We've got a clock in the living room that's like a big flat panel thing that sits on the wall. It's radio controlled, so it's always correct to the second. So it's correct to the second. It's got, like the time in really big font. You can have it in 12 or 24 hours. Then it has the date on there, the day of the week it is, what the temperature currently is, all that stuff. It's basically like my alarm clock display here, which is probably that's the one I look at whenever I'm looking at the time because it's in front of me. Hang on. That doesn't want to focus on there, does it? But yeah, I've got there you go. I've got like a digital kind of thing there which has the date on and the temperature and everything. See that? That's radio controlled. So yeah, it's basically like that, but it's a much bigger panel one, where you can see it. It's probably about a third of the size of that poster. It's just a really nice big one that you can read from anywhere in the room. I just think they're cool and retro. That's the reason I like them, just because they glow in the dark. I've got some analog wristwatches, but in all practicality, if you were putting a clock on the wall, you might as well have a digital one. Yeah, because the thing is, it's like, yeah, in some of the rooms of the house, we have got the old, analog clocks, but the problem is you have to put the time right on them more often, because I know you can get radio-controlled analogs, can't you, which are interesting, but the main thing I find annoying with the analogs is quite often the things get stuck, and then you have to open up really carefully and, like, straighten out the hands. Well, it's a nostalgia thing, Claire, and they just look cool. So the main thing I like with Nixie tubes is just if you're in a room that's totally dark, you can always read them because of how they're illuminated. But yeah, that's the thing. They're way too expensive for what they are. Because it's the fact that some people pay hundreds of pounds for something like that. I just cannot understand the logic of that. It's like it's literally a digital clock. Just it reads out on an old retro kind of display. But yeah, I mean, if people are into Fallout and stuff like that, I can understand why they'd be into Nixie tube stuff, because obviously that's like all the Pip-Boy type stuff, Nixie tubes. Is that because he's like traveling over here on like business or a holiday thing? But yeah, because like over here, if I have to have a test, it's free. But I'm assuming that's because it's covered under our health service. I'm sort of interested in electronics, but not to the point I'd really want to do anything too serious with electronics, I only really got into electronics in the sense I find Geiger counters and stuff like that really interesting. So I learned some very, very basic electronic stuff just so if you buy one on eBay that's in like a not working condition, sometimes you can just do a little bit of soldering and get it working again, like replace a resistor or something. But if it comes down to like a proper electronics repair, I don't bother with that. I give it to some of my mates to do, or pay them to do it, who are like really into more electronic stuff. I mean, you could just tint lenses yourself, Easton, pretty easily. You can buy the stuff that you just stick on that tints them. Best value does it all, Geiger counter. What budget have you got, Dan? But I'm tempted to say, in all honesty, although this doesn't cover all the ranges, the GMC 500s are pretty good. It's not turned on at the moment. The GMC 500 is pretty good for like £100-ish that they cost for covering like quite a big radiation range. Or as in like the things for seeing the wavelengths of electrics, inductive T-scope, or are you just on about a scope as in a microscope or oscilloscope? What sort of scope are you on about? Or are you saying you've been interested in forever, but all you own is a scope? You've not got any electrons? I don't know. But, because the Canadians destroy them now rather than selling them, because that's a dumb policy, but they do it. I wish nations would never destroy their surplus like that. Are you in Texas then, Jesus? But I know in Texas they've had loads and loads of problems, haven't they? With like freezing weather and the power going down, and then Ted Cruz running off like a little pussy, leaving his dog to die, doing a Dominic Cummings. What a twat. But I hope everyone there's all right. But yeah, like what a fucking twat Ted Cruz was, just literally running off and then pretending he didn't run off. Oh, my daughters wanted to go on holiday. Yeah, he left his dog with no food and no water. Thankfully, the dog lived, but yeah, they literally just left the dog in the house and left. Well, but even if a senator can't do anything, you don't run off in the thing. That's the thing. It's like with the Queen over here, right? The Queen does fuck all, right? But she shows up because it makes people feel good. Do you kind of get the point? If there was a national sort of thing on or emergency, and the people who are meant to be in charge or showing strength just fuck off, you know. So it is an oscilloscope you're on about. What I need to power up in the background, but nobody's talked to me about it, weirdly. The tube, though, I've got there outside of it. I bought one of these the other day on eBay because it was quite cheap. A very, very old Mullard tube. A tiny oscilloscope CRT, I believe it is. And I actually number the pins on this one, which is pretty useful. If you mean the big thing, that's a British decimeter reader from the 1980s. It was when we moved away from using decimeters like this, which are pretty practical. You know, you just look into the light to see how irradiated you are. This one's discharging itself. It's definitely not that radioactive, or I'd be dead. We went from those to the wristwatch ones, where you put them into like a hatch on there, and it gives you a reading. It's a cool thing, but it's like really bulky and like impractical for what it is. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can power this very carefully at some point, Inductive TK. I think this only runs on 1 kilovolt when I was reading the text. I found the tech sheet for it online because it was just really cheap on eBay, you know, where somebody had a load of old Mullard stuff in boxes, and I thought I'll buy them because I like old Mullard stuff. But yeah, I'm quite tempted to just see if I can actually get this to just, you know, power on with the phosphor on it. Or this thing, CRT. This is just an old, right? So old screens, right? You know, cathode ray tube televisions. You know, the old big bulky TVs. It's basically like one of those, but for a small control panel unit, either oscilloscope or something like that, where you'd have a load of these in an instrument bank. So they'd be plugged in, and then, you know, it'd be just a very small little display readout, you know, as opposed to, like, say, a Nixie tube. It would do a similar job to that, but you'd have a load of those in a row. Because I find gas masks and CBRN gear interesting. Yeah. So it's labelled. Let's have a look. ZZLB. Is that M? Yeah, I'm sure if you look at the manual, actually, which each of the pins do if they've labelled them, which is pretty handy because it's not guesswork then seeing which pin does what. But yeah, CRT stuff's interesting anyway. It depends what you mean by overrated. At the time Soviet masks were made, right, the Soviets could mass produce gas masks like nobody's business. So the thing was with, obviously, Soviet masks is, let's take the GP5, for example. I know it's sitting right behind me, but it's a good example. Obviously, it's on the poster as well. This is the world's most mass-produced gas mask. If you're in the Soviet Union and there was ever any sort of disaster, you know, where you might need to be given a mask, you could be given one of these. They had the logistics to do it. In the West, we basically said, yeah, fuck the people. If anything like that happens, they're dead. You know, so as horrible as the Soviet Union was in a lot of ways, you know, they at least had mass manufactured masks for, you know, the entire populace. And yet this isn't a comfortable mask, there's nothing outstanding about it, but it's the world's most mass-produced mask in history, and it does deserve some credit for that. It's a rubber hood with valves on it, essentially. You screw your filter in at the bottom there. Well, yeah, got a spare washer in there. But yeah, I like Gmod. Well, I'm mostly playing Red Dead Redemption at the moment. Well, RDR2. Anyway, I'm going off now because this stream's gone on longer than I intended for it to. But yeah, hope everybody's all right anyway. And what was I going to say? I'll do a members stream next time we do a stream, because I know not everyone on here is a member, but they're just a bit calmer if people want to stay on one subject for 10 minutes. But anyway, have a good evening, everybody, and I'll be on Weapon Collector stream later. I mean, before I go off Lonesome Toast, I think it would be amazing if people still manufactured more CRTs for very specialist uses, because there are cool things about cathode rays. It's just, the fact that for the most part, it's like a dying kind of bit of tech, which is quite sad, because it's like with light bulbs, right? LEDs are really good for what they are, and I'm glad LEDs have replaced some horrible energy-saving bulbs that exist. But this is right, Just Josie. I've already got loads of CRT stuff sitting around the house, and in the sheds. But yeah, if you've got an old computer monitor, that will be a CRT monitor. But yeah, the point is, it's like old incandescent bulbs, right? Like, lots of the horrible energy-saving bulbs and mercury were awful, and LEDs are very good for what they are. But there's something I really like about old incandescents, like just the way they glow. I know they're not energy efficient and that, but incandescents are interesting. Yeah, that's the thing. You need proper manufacturing stuff, because it's amazing how hard it is to get new flyback transformers as well now. Because again, flyback transformers, not much of a market for them, because most people don't need to power like a 30 kilovolt thing. So that's like another one of the annoying things, that you end up not being able to find a lot of this stuff all that easily. But a flyback like this would go quite well on the X-ray tube, because you've got a separate bit for the heater. But never mind. But yeah, old cathode electron gun shooting the colours into your phosphor screen. But yeah, anyway, I'll go off now, because as I said, this wasn't meant to be a very long stream, and it's just sort of turned into one. A lot of the time we weren't talking about coronavirus. But hope people have enjoyed chatting about whatever we were chatting about. Halon, why is that? Is it just because they're cheaper to manufacture and less damaging to the environment in the manufacture process? So you've got me interested in something now. I'm just going to go off. But I know there's a lot of things, aren't there, where there's stuff that's meant to be better for the environment that ends up not being, just because of how much the production is, even if the thing lasts longer. Yeah, that's the thing that annoys me on AliExpress. There isn't that much old cathode or incandescent style technology on there. It all tends to be LED type stuff. Anyway, I'm off. If the person watches it back, Coco Stewart watches it back, your channel is not blocked. I checked for you, so I have no idea why you can't comment on your main channel, because I went through the entire block list to see if your name was on there by accident. It wasn't. So if you're just wondering, because I said I'd look into that for somebody, but no. YouTube's just shadow banned somebody from my channel who likes to come on and comment, which is a bit annoying. I would just yeah, I suppose it makes sense. Anyway, I'm going to be off now anyway, so see you all. Otherwise, I'll never go off. But I hope you've enjoyed talking about X-ray tubes randomly, Nixie tube clocks and things, when we were meant to be talking about coronavirus. But there you go. That's what always happens when you try and do a stream on a specific subject. And then if I wasn't doing a stream on a specific subject, nobody would think of anything to talk about. So there's that. But anyway, see you all.